Director of On the Ground International. We are here in Pamplona, Colombia, in the middle of the Andes Mountains, about a 2-hour drive from the Venezuelan border. And we are providing aid to the Venezuelans who are walking across the country. We support the shelters here in Pamplona as long as along the route. And before I tell you more about that, let me give you a little background on the situation in Venezuela. Venezuela is the most oil-rich nation in the world, and for many years the success of their oil industry made them the strongest economy in South America. People were immigrating from all over the world, from China and from the Middle East, to start businesses in Venezuela because there was so much wealth. In the early 2010s, the government began nationalizing the country's largest industries, and the oil industry spiraled downward very quickly. In 2015, the oil industry dropped from a $51 billion industry to a $1 billion industry in just 1 year. This led to an instant spike in inflation as the government began printing more money to cover its international debts, and also led to the beginning of food shortages. By 2016, food shortages were so severe that the average Venezuelan lost 19 pounds and over 1 million Venezuelans fled the country. Thousands of Venezuelans are crossing into Colombia every day, and as their currency is now almost worthless, they don't have the few dollars it would take to buy a bus ticket, so instead are walking across the country. Because of this, the locals call them caminantes, or walkers. The young and healthy walkers can make it to Bogota, Colombia's capital, in about a month. But for the elderly or families with children, it can take much longer. Many of them are traveling even farther, hoping to reach Peru, Ecuador, or Chile. I first came to Colombia in February of 2019, and my plan was to only stay for 3 months. The needs here have been so immense. Here I am, 2 years later. The organization has grown, and our primary goal is to support the local organizations. Pamplona is about a 2 to 3 day walk for the Venezuelans from the border. And there's a huge change in elevation. Cucuta at the border, it's very hot, and then they climb about 8,000 feet. We're up in the mountains here, and it's a lot chillier. A lot of them aren't prepared for the change in temperature. But the first thing that they find when they arrive in Pamplona is our 2 shelters, Douglas and Marta, right at the entrance of Pamplona. Marta is a Colombian lady with just a really big heart who has opened her home for the last 4 years to the Venezuelans. She can house about 50 to 60 women and children in her shelter, and she has extended her kitchen. She has a large cooking operation, and if needed can cook food for up to 500 or 600 people per day. Douglas' shelter is right next to Marta's. Douglas was a shoemaker before this crisis in Venezuela, and he quit his job in order to devote full-time to the Venezuelans that are arriving, and he's spent the last 4 years building up wooden platforms on his hillside where he can house 200 to 250 walkers per night.
On the Ground International is run by volunteers from around the world who make up the backbone of what we do. One of our most important daily activities is supporting the shelters with their routines. This can include preparing and serving food, cleaning the shelters, and kids programs. Something else we do is run medical clinics at the shelters and at other local aid points.
My favorite project here though is the clinic, which I tend to run every night at one of the shelters that the comandantes stay at. We do that, try to do it every night from 5 to 7, and what we offer is pretty much basic medical assistance. So in the United States I was an EMT and first responder, so here I can offer pretty much getting people medications, helping with foot and wound care, because a lot of the comandantes walk barefoot. And because they're walking so much, a lot of them just have general stress injuries to their feet and their legs, so giving them like a splint or wrapping their feet, working with their blisters and seeing what the best option for them is. Also, because there's a lot of kids walking with their parents, a lot of them don't have the right diet, so we give them vitamins and probiotics if they need it.
For the caminantes, the walk between the different aid points can be long and treacherous. So to support the struggle, we provide a project called Mobile Aid. Mobile Aid is a project where we hire a local driver for the day, fill up their car with supplies, and drive a few hours up or down the route, handing out much needed food, water, and hygiene products to the caminantes. Where we can, we also try to give the most vulnerable a ride, which can save hours of walking.
So our work as a volunteer here is really important because we can also give a break for the parents. In the evening we go to the shuttle and we just play with the children. For example, we help them painting or drawing, and we give them some games, and it's funny because they are happy, and we can give them like 2 hours of normal life. For young people, I think it's important, even for not so young people, for all the children.
Every volunteer that comes here is guaranteed to make a difference in the lives of the Comandantes and eventually leave with the most unforgettable memories.
Well, like for example, last night I was able to get 40 people on a bus and bring them 20 kilometers up to Pamplona. So that was pretty special. It was a good thing. I had to wait all day and do a little bit of coordination and Spanish talk with the bus driver to get him up here, but it was good in the end. We got 30 adults and 10 kids on a bus and brought them 25 kilometers up to Pamplona, which helps them considerably because it was late at night and they had nowhere to sleep down where they were.
It was the woman at La Laguna who was separated from her children. We were very concerned, so we picked her up.
We took her up to La Laguna shelter, and the day passed, the night passed, still no sign of the family. She
sat out on the front of La Laguna shelter and just sat there watching out over the road that you could just see through the fog.
Over 24 hours since she had lost her family, sort of thing, she'd obviously started to really get upset and distraught, and her friends, or the OTG team, messaged and said, we found them. We picked the kids up in the car and then we told them where to go, and yeah, reunited that family, and that was yeah.
Are you in tears?
Yeah, it's upsetting.
Don't exhibit me.
I don't know, I think this is something everyone should know about what's happening in Venezuela. And I think it's just really important to think outside of yourself.
I think this is probably one of the best things we've done.
You know that you do something that's important for them, even if you just give some food or just give some time to them. It helps them a lot.
It's really tough to see these people. They're all so kind and they're all so happy still, and it really makes you grateful for everything you have.
If you have the ability to do something like this, specifically on the ground international, you should do it. Take some time, and again, if you can't take the time off, then look, the smallest donation will still go the furthest way. $15 will feed your full mobile aid for the day or something like that, and it's not a lot of money, but it goes a very long way and it would help no matter what.
Being a part of this organization is indescribably rewarding, and my hope is that you can be a part of it too. So get in touch, we'd love to hear from you.